And you're watching Marketing Tip Tea Time. On today's episode, which is the second episode of the season, we have our special guest, Rachel Kelly. And we're going to dive into all of the amazing things that she has done. But first, before we get into Rachel, we want to give a very, very special thank you to our season sponsor, Whole Brain Consulting. Whole Brain Consulting is an outsourced operations consultancy that specializes in the consumer products industry, providing solutions catered to your production. Services include QA, QC, supply chain, operations, logistics, R&D, and private equity due diligence. Remember, don't use half your brain, use your whole brain. All right, so now, today we have a very, very, very amazing guest. She has written numerous books, the Colorworld series. She's the author, and I'm going to go ahead and read her bio. This is a great one, everyone, so, buckle up. Okay, you know that game of worm where you start as a small worm and have to eat stuff to get bigger without getting eaten yourself or without running into other worms, all while squirming all over the screen in loop-de-loops and coils and swirly swirls, and lines, and never once does it seem like you're getting anywhere in particular, except that you're getting bigger little by little by little. Then you run into some giant worm and have to start all over again, and you think to yourself, this is stupid and it's annoying, and this is a stupid and annoying game, but then you do it again anyway because you just can't stop. Well, that's Rachel Kelly. And so now I'd like to introduce Rachel Kelly onto the show.
Hello. I'm very excited.
I can hear you. My gosh. Woo. All right. Thank you for being on the show, Rachel. I mean, I know you, so obviously this bio makes a little bit of sense to me, but can you just explain that for our viewers who might be thinking, what the crap did I just listen to as a bio?
It just means that my life is like a constant work in progress of trying to find the right path and ending up on lots of the wrong paths and just the frustration of that. So that's in a nutshell what it means.
Right. But you just keep going. You can't stop.
Yeah, it's like it's just, I don't know, I guess it's part of being human, right? You just keep going, even though it's ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous. We're going to dive into being an author, writing so many books that are so large as well. I don't know if any of you have actually looked at her books, the Colorworld series. You can go ahead and go check that out, colorworldbooks.com, and you can actually buy her newest book, which just released on Monday, which is Valentine's Day. They're pretty beefy books. So we're going to dive into that, but first, the most important part of the show, usually, is our tea. So we've got our tea here. Again, thanks, Mom and Dad, for the nice tea kettle. We sent Yogi Lemon Ginger, which is caffeine-free and organic and non-GMO. We shipped this all the way out to Rachel.
It was smashed when I got it. I was like, well,
great.
Good thing
That's
tea bags.
Amazing.
Good thing tea bags don't have to be in shape.
Gotta love our postal service.
Yeah.
That's okay. At least you could still drink it. Ooh.
Exactly.
We got our tea cam going. I'm going to take a taste of this. Oh, actually, that's pretty good. I'll be honest with our viewers, I'm usually not a fan of ginger. Ginger I'm just not a fan of it.
Is it the heat? Is it the heat?
Not really the heat. It's just some sort of this kind of feeling I get in the back of my throat. Not the heat, but kind of just a crunchy weirdness in the back of my throat when it comes to ginger. But this is pretty subtle. It's not in your face. My mom makes these huge ginger teas that she just chops up a bunch of ginger and boils it a little and throws it in, and that's kind of like slap you in the face ginger. So no, this is actually very subtle. So if you don't like ginger out there, this is great. And I know that I've talked to you and your family, and you've said before that, what is it, the four the 4 foods that you just have to have are honey, lemon, ginger, and vinegar, correct? Is that?
Oh, that's what we call a
Or,
punchy. So when you were talking about what your mom did, I was thinking, well, that's medicinal ginger. And when I make the punchy, I use fresh ginger in there. So
right.
it's kind of like a tea tonic, you know. You put
Okay.
water, lemon, honey, and ginger, and apple cider vinegar if you have it
There we go.
together.
That's
And
what it
that
is.
definitely has a kick. Like that will hit you in the back of the throat for sure, especially
Right.
the vinegar
Wow.
part.
Wow. And one more thing. Again, subscribe on YouTube with us, and you could win your own box as of our last show. Congratulations to Rizzo, who actually won our jasmine green tea from the last episode. So thank you for subscribing. Okay, so I'm going to dive into these questions. We had a few people ask some questions who really wanted to know about writing, pretty much about the volume of books that you write. There's a lot of books that you've written, and they're all pretty long.
Actually, you read the longest one.
Or did
So,
Dream World,
this
yeah.
is the one that you read. That's the one
Okay.
you read. And then
Yep.
here's the one that just came out.
Oh, it's like
So
half maybe, or
it's probably about a third
a third. Okay.
of, yeah. And then, so most of the books are usually around a little bit bigger than this one, which is the first book. So
Oh, that's not bad. Okay, everyone, I
comparatively,
lied to
right?
you. I am a
Yeah.
liar. They are actually not that long, except for Dream World, which is a beefy boy.
Which is the one that you got, and that's the longest one. Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. And again, if you have any questions for Rachel live on the show, our producer will flag me down, our in-studio producer, and we can see if we can get those answered. So first, what I'm going to do is a rapid fire, where I'll say, this or that, or choose one of these things, and then we'll just kind of rapid fire go. All right, everybody, buckle up. Here we go. Paperback, audiobook, or hardcover?
Paperbook. Paperbook. Paperback.
Perfect.
Paperback.
Ginger or lemon?
Lemon.
Okay. And which book in the Colorworld series is your favorite?
Dream World. So the one that you got.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That was
Pick
a great
that one.
book. Okay. So that's why you sent it to me to read then. It's 'cause it's the best. It was a great book. Okay, so you started this journey about how long ago, writing these books?
Writing them, it was about 2009 that I started writing them.
Okay.
The first one, though, wasn't published until 2013.
Okay. And what called you to start writing these?
Well, motherhood. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I just felt like, kids are cool, but this isn't really my calling. Like, this isn't the thing that I love. And I didn't really have a thing that I loved. So I said a prayer, and my answer was to write a book. But ironically, I never would have envisioned myself as a writer, because in college, I got stuck with a creative writing class. Like, when they make you choose between electives, they're like this or that. And you're like, ugh, they're both terrible. And so I was like, fine, I'll do creative writing. It sounds not as bad as whatever the other thing was that I can't remember. And I made like a C in that class because I hated it so much. But I've come to discover it's because I just didn't have anything to say in college. I was just a little baby. So, and that's why I had so much trouble with it.
Wow. That is interesting. So you hated writing at first?
I didn't hate writing. I hated creative writing. Like, I didn't have any, I was really good at writing research papers. Like, I've always been very, good at spelling and grammar and all of that. But like content-wise, I didn't have anything to offer.
Okay. So creative writing you didn't like as much. And then now you're book 9 in of your creative writing journey.
Yeah. I took after I wrote the first 3 books, before I ever published them, I was like, well, I really enjoy this writing thing. Maybe I should go learn something about it. So I went to, I went into a degree program for creative writing. And one of the classes I took was a nonfiction class. And a lot of it centered around like writing memoirs and writing opinion pieces, or not opinion pieces, but like, I don't even remember the names, but just different types of nonfiction writing. And man, I killed it in that class. Like, I really discovered that I was like actually pretty good at this thing. And I wrote a piece about oil rigs because we were living in North Dakota at the time. And kind of, I had like this love-hate relationship with it because I was like, oh, oil rigs, the environment. But then I was like, to save my family because we were going to starve if we didn't find a job. And so I was in this like constant flux. And so I wrote about that, and it ended up being published in all kinds of newspapers in North Dakota. I didn't submit it. My husband did behind my back. Got it published everywhere. And that's when I realized, like, I really don't suck at this. I might have gotten a C in college, but I've grown up, and now I kind of know what I'm doing.
That's a cool story. That's really a cool story. And, you know, you've started to weave the story. Admittedly, everyone, I've only read Dreamworld, which is right smack dab in the middle of the series. But my wife, Alyssa Youngval, wanted to ask you, are you more of a plotter or a panter, which I didn't know what that meant when she asked the question, but I'm assuming you probably know.
Yeah, I'm a panter for sure. No, I'm not a plotter. Nope. I always think I know, and then I don't. I write it, and then it just goes somewhere completely different, and that's what's so fun about it. I mean, it's even more fun than reading because it comes from you, and you didn't even see it coming, which is a weird paradox.
Wow. So sometimes you're writing, and you don't quite know where it's going to land while you're writing then.
Oh, yeah. Like, I definitely have shocked myself on more than one, and several times been like, I'll write it, I'll like bang it out really fast, and then I'll stop at the end, and I'm like, well, that was weird.
Do you ever go back then and edit that stuff, or you're like, you know what, I'm going to keep it pretty close to what I
No,
what
when
I
it
just
comes
did.
that easily, I don't second guess myself. So yeah,
Okay.
I roll with it. Yeah, and there might be some minor adjustments, but it's almost always where it's supposed to go when it comes that easily.
Okay. So in that process then, does the character development become really important so that you can get in the mindset of the character, which kind of steers the plot?
Yes, because I taught this creative writing class to like some little kids once. I think they were ages from like maybe 7 through 10 or 12. And so I had to teach them about how to write a story, which is harder than it seems. So what I did was I said, okay, first day one, we're going to come up with a character. We're going to come up with any character you want. It can be a person, be an animal, be a monster, it can be a plant, it can be whatever you want. And so they developed this character with all these attributes. And the next day I said, okay, now we're going to pick a setting. So what's the setting? All right, we're on a planet Mars. We're in the 1970s. We're like under a shoe, like whatever. You know, I wanted them to be like pick whatever it was. And then on the third day I said, okay, now we're going to put the character into the setting, and then we're going to see what you're going to look at it and you're going to say what happens in this setting. And so that's really how I go about writing, is like, I know the setting, I know where I want it to take place, and I have an idea of the character that I want, and then I just kind of nudge them a little bit, and then they kind of do their thing.
Wow. That is a very interesting writing process, and that's how you've then, I'm assuming, have written the Colorworld series, is kind of that same general process.
Yeah, especially the most recent books, the smaller volumes, though, like the one that just came out and then the 3 before it, have all been very much about specific characters, because the Colorworld series follows one character, Wendy. But when you get to the volumes, the Waterworld volumes, they're from completely different characters' point of view, like people who seem to be unrelated to the story at all, like completely never mentioned anywhere else.
Right.
And I very much like went by that process. Is like, I know I want to tell a story about this part of the world or this type of person, and see what's happening to them in the same world that Wendy exists in. And that was kind of my way to get around the fact that it's not a movie and you can't like quickly pan and do a montage of what's happening in the world. I can only
Right.
tell it from people's point of view. So that was how I kind of tackled that problem of having this huge thing that was happening and having no way for one character to like be able to see all of it at once.
Wow. That's super interesting. And do your characters ever that you have in Colorworld, are they ever like really close to somebody you know? Like you've kind of taken a little bit
Yes.
from people?
Oh yeah. I mean, some of them are just the main ones are a conglomeration. Like there isn't really um, anybody that I like wrote as closely as I could. But in Dreamworld, the one that you read, there are three characters in there who are based on real people. Four characters, I guess, technically. One of them doesn't make a big appearance until a later book, but um, those ones are as closely as I can make them based on real people. Three of
Okay.
those people were people who contributed to our Kickstarter, who basically paid to be in the book series. And then one of
Wow.
them was just somebody I was like, I have to put you in my book. Can I put you in my book? Because you're a conversation piece. So yeah,
That's cool.
definitely. I enjoy that part. I enjoy that process like so much. I wish I could write all my characters like after people.
Yeah. So, you bring up something really interesting, which was that there were some people who essentially paid on Kickstarter to be in the book. Can you tell us about that early marketing process of getting Colorworld launched?
Yeah, sure. Remember that worm story?
Yeah, I
um,
remember. Yeah.
yeah, we raised $20,000 on a Kickstarter to be able to buy an RV so that we could go around the country to different comic cons and market my books and sell my book series to market them. So that was what the Kickstarter was for. And that kind of
Wow.
just morphed into a bunch of other things.
And did you take the whole family with you on this cross-country
Yes.
tour,
So
or?
at the time we had four kids. So it was me, my husband, and I, and our four kids. The youngest was 3, and the oldest would have been 9. Yeah, 9. So
Wow.
it was hectic. It was crazy.
I don't think I knew that part of your story, the Kickstarter. Kickstarter is really tough. That's kind of a hard thing. How did you market your Kickstarter? How did you get that out to people to have it successfully funded?
Um, well, I mean, we had a lot of friends, so that helps. And we spent like countless hours editing video, which if you've ever edited video, you know how tedious it is to edit video. And
Cue
like just to
Phil.
create like a 1 minute spot, it's like ridiculous. So we really thought through trying to make something that was informative but also engaging. We
Right.
kind of went the route of like Rogue and X-Men and superheroes, and I like dressed up and I had like a Rogue costume on, and we had like panned to like different scenes, and it was like a whole thing. And then we just pushed it and pushed it and pushed it to our friends and family as
Wow.
shamelessly as we could.
Amazing story. So, so you are the snake who started over and over and over again.
Hmm.
Can you tell me through this process what some of those, it doesn't have to be too in depth, but some of those start over stories were and those getting really big stories were?
Well, when we were in the RV, we had high hopes that we would sell enough books each week to get to the next city, and uh, it was tough. We really didn't. I mean, we were kind of supplemented by the rental income from our house that we had moved out of, but we really kind of got ourselves in a hole as far as like paying our mortgage, and I mean, it was crazy. We were like almost 3 months behind. That's when they take it from you. And we met somebody who was doing metal prints of his artwork, and we wanted to commission him because that was one of the things that we were trying to push. Was we were trying to merge Wendy's world with popular characters that people already knew. So we were doing mashup parody pieces, and so we wanted to commission this artist. And he's like, "Well, you already have a bunch of art. Why don't I just give you the name of my printer, and you can print your own stuff on metal?" And we're like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Hey, by the way, I also sell these bookmarks, and people like them, and that seems natural with what you do with books, and so it might be a nice combination." And we were like, "Okay." So We started with like 4, we sold out of them, we went to 7, we sold out, we went to 25, we sold out, we went to 100, we sold out. And we kind of started this empire of metal bookmarks.
And is that what's behind you right now?
Yeah, that's what's behind me. So now we are now transitioning into fully licensed metal bookmarks, which is super cool because then you can be 100% legit. And so we work with, different companies like Ubisoft Funimation, Sentai Filmworks, and that allowed us to keep on tour while we were pushing the book series and be able to support ourselves. So the bookmarks was huge for that. Having that product that kind of made sense, like we could still make money off of it, we could still say, hey, this actually does have to do with books. And people weren't confused, like, why is there a book here with all of these other things that are unrelated? So that was definitely one of the things that kickstarted us. And then later we ran into some like drama. We ended up losing the printer that we were using to make the metal bookmarks, and we had to teach ourselves how to do it. So we kind of lost that in a matter of 5 days, when we had to like quickly summon all of the resources we had to buy all the equipment we needed to be able to do the process ourselves. And so that was definitely one of the times that we, hit rock bottom, had to like figure out how to do something that we didn't know anything about. And so that was the start of really being like self-sustaining and not relying on anybody. And then of course the licensed part, if you sell fan art at a convention long enough, somebody's going to notice and they're going to be like, hey, you're making too much money on this thing that we own. And so we were like, hey, we would love to just license it from you. Can we do that? And then that started the licensing process, which really opened up all kinds of avenues, like being able to sell online. And again, through all of this, the book series has been kind of in the background. The company is called Colorworld after the book series, because it's kind of the bedrock of everything.
That's a fantastic story. What an absolutely fantastic story. I have one more question for you before we let you get on with your busy day and busy life with authorship and the book release. And that is, what is the one piece of advice, I'm going off script here by the way, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring author?
Don't do it by yourself. I've never met someone, one person. I've met one person. It's both a writer and a marketer. Super good as a writer and then also really good at self-promotion. I feel like everybody I've ever met is either one or the other. And so I'm an artist, and so I'm like, yeah, my book's great. You should read it. Not like, it's the best book you'll ever read. I have my husband for that. That's like his job is to get, yell at people and tell them it's amazing. And it works really well. I could not imagine. I would have given up like forever ago if it weren't for having someone else in my corner to do that. And if you're going to go a self-publishing route, or really any route, even with a publisher or literary agent, like you have to have like someone, a partner on your side. I think to me, that's like the most valuable part.
So find somebody that can be your cheerleader or help you through some of those problems along the way. Mm-hmm. Because it sounds like it's a long journey.
Oh, goodness. Still on it. Still on it.
Oh, my. Well, Rachel, again, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you coming on the show and giving us this advice and the incredible story that you and your family have gone through to get these books in people's hands and to get your fantastic merch in people's hands as well. For anybody watching, you should go to colorworldbooks.com and you can check out all of their licensed merchandise, all of their bookmarks, the books. You can also hang out with voice actors from the site as well. It's really fantastic. So go ahead and go check that out. And if you would like to connect with Colorworld Books, either Rachel or Brad, you can go ahead and email them or message them through the site. So all the information is there. They have a lot of great advice, a lot of great stuff. So do not feel afraid to reach out to them because they're just great people. That is pretty much all I've got today, Rachel.
All right, awesome.
What an intense story. Some of that I didn't even know, so I was surprised with everyone else.
I should write a book, so they say.
You should write a book someday. That'd be great. Write a book about writing your book. Okay, well, everyone, thank you to everyone who has supported us. Please, again, you can win a box of Yogi Lemon Ginger if you subscribe to our YouTube channel by our next episode that we have of Marketing Tip Tea Time, which is in 2 weeks. And we will find you, and we will ship this to you. Hopefully, it won't be smashed like it was with Rachel. And everyone, thank you again. We love you all. We love all of our viewers. We love all of our contributors. Thank you to Josh. Thank you to Phil. Thank you to Peter. Thank you to Whole Brain Consulting, our season sponsor. Go check them out if you get a chance as well. And until next time, na zdraví. Cheers. Thanks, Rachel.